So before I start my detailed presentation, let's see the outlook of the presentation. I will start with introduction to the SOC and then clock definition. In clock definition, we will see the importance of clock in hardware and what's the need of distribution of clock in SOC. And for the distribution challenges which we face, we will see in distribution challenges, and to overcome these challenges, what solution we have provided, we will see in the solution part, and in the result, I will conclude whole the session with in the result session. So let's start with our presentation. SOC. In this digital modern technology world, it is impossible to imagine our life without tablets, mobiles, digital TVs, and many other SOC devices. What is an SOC? It is the term which we heard when we heard about these digital devices. So SOC is everywhere. Now whatever I am here is because of this SOC and technology. So to answer SOC is system on chip. It mainly, the best way to answer what is an SOC is system on chip which integrates the all important hardware components in one chip. So the figure shows, all the components which you see in general SOCs. It has a CPU core which exists almost all the process functions, and DSP cores which does the display processing functions, clock generator which generates the clock required for all these hardware elements which you are seeing in SOC. So then memories are generally required to store the data which needs to be executed in the cores, and analog and digital IPs will be used to do analog and digital operations. Apart from that, I/O pads will be there for user interface. Suppose if I give some input, it has to take the instruction and execute, right? To that, I/O pads are provided what input should be give to the SOC. So we have seen SOC. Let's talk about how the execution happens in this SOC. In this, generally as software people, everyone knows that instructions are executed in form of smaller steps in SOCs. So these all generally execution, decode, fetch is the signal are the instructions executed in the processor. These happen inside the resistors. The resistors are implemented as storage elements. In terms of hardware, we will call it as a flops generally. These flops require clocks to execute, to transfer the data from its inputs to outputs. So these all are implemented in the hardware. So these clocks need to be transferred to all the resistors present in the processor. So we have seen the importance of clock in the execution of the SOCs. Let's see what this clock signal is. Clock signal is a simple digital signal which generates at equal intervals of time. It has two states, on and off, with rising and falling edge. The devices present in the SOCs are tentative to these rising and falling edge. If you see this rising, data will be processed either rising or falling edge only. Otherwise the data, if in middle the data will be processed, it's not transferred to stored into devices. Only at one cycle, based on this cycle, once the cycle is completed, the next execution process will be executed in the SOCs. So, these all processes are synchronized with the clock edge. We can say that all the processes are synchronized with the clock edge. So this makes the frequency that the clock which toggles gives the frequency of the SOCs. So SOC speed depends on the clock frequency of a processor. So let's see what frequency, how the frequency of SOC is defined. SOC process frequency of SOC is generally in few gigahertz. As everybody knows, when we go and buy anything, we will first see how much is the frequency of that, and then we how speed will be translated this frequency. As software people, everybody knows. So what this gigahertz means? Generally, gigahertz of a process is defined as the speed at which the clock toggles inside an SOC. So, but we can't get more frequencies because the system SOC battery life depends on the power consumption of its elements. As I said, the instructions are executed in the hardware. The hardware requires, the hardwares which need to on and off, it's required power, right? So that power consumption is more in SOC. But this power consumption is directly, depends on the system frequency. If I say since power life is depends on the battery life of SOC, so power is also proportional to the frequency of a SOC. Since frequency is directly proportional to performance of our SOCs, there is an interrelationship between power and frequency. So these interrelations, inversely relations and directly proportion makes us this statement as higher performance require higher frequency, and for better battery life we use lower frequencies. So we have seen the importance of clock and how the clock is needed for frequency, how clocks derives the frequency we have seen. Let's see how this clock is generated in hardware and distributed. Let's see that. So here I want to compare, before we will go clock distribution, here I will want to compare general comparison. Suppose our human body is considered as one SOC. All the parts represent as one of the tiles, components in the SOC. I will compare the clock generation with the heart and the blood circulatory system as a clock distribution network. So as you know how blood circulation plays important role in our general human body. So like that, this clock also generated at a point in SOC. This needs to be distributed to all the resistors. If you see in the figure, the clock is generated in a clock generating unit, maybe generally PLL in a system, and that needs to be distributed across the chips. So if you see first we will place the buffers from these buffers the clock is distributed to all the flaps which are present distributed across the SOC. But the arrival time at these flop and these flops should not be much greater. That is generally called skew of the clock. If skew is more, our frequency will be limited. So to maintain the frequency, we have to use optimal insertion of these buffers. We can't, we will see more detail how optimal buffers we will place in the distribution and in the coming slides. So buffers are inserted in SOC to maintain the electrical properties. Clock has to maintain their electrical properties. So to maintain that, we will insert buffers in this clock distribution. So we have seen just overall look of clock distribution. Before we go more detail into clock distribution, let's see what challenges we face in designing this distribution. Generally everyone wants low power requirement for good battery life. as we from the morning onwards we are seeing battery life should be good to maintain our to give battery life good. Higher frequency give more performances. Generally, we require. Suppose if I click and wait, means it's not a good performance, right? For good performance, we require when I click, I need to get output like that in a seconds. So these all processors, I mean, what if I click and it is coming on screen means the frequency is happening in seconds, okay. And design complexities. Design complexities, we will see more details in the coming slides. Time to market, which plays a main important role. Because this makes all companies to be run to run companies in profits and all. Resource requirement. Resource requirement also plays an important role in clock distributions. Why we will see in more detail in the coming slides. So we have seen all the basic how the clock is generated in hardware and distributed. Before let's see detailed distribution which used in our clock distributions. Generally clock is generated at a point generally called source of clock is PLL, and from PLL it has to be distributed whole across the chip. Whole across this chip. There are many ways to distribute the clock in industries like H trees, tree based, grid based, and auto clock synthesis is there. But spine plus grid is generally used in high performance chips. Generally we require high performance chips, right? So this clock, I mean the picture shows general typical clocking style we used in our SOCs. Mesh is formed before mesh is formed with top two metals of the chip. So vertical and horizontal lines you are seeing are the mesh of the clock. From the mesh MPCTC is used to distribute the clocks, but here I would like to concentrate more on the pre-mesh distribution of the clocks, generally called global distribution of the clock. The distribution after the mesh is generally local distribution. Our presentation is mainly concentrating on the global distribution of the clock. Global distribution is mainly implemented with delay matched spines. These delay matched spines, if you see, I will take both vertical and horizontal spines are used in clocks. So suppose if I say source is here and I need to, I mean we will distribute the buffers to travel to the edge by distributing buffers, I mean binary delay distribution we used. At the edge, I mean if I start from here to here, the clock traveling path is same at the end of each buffer. Generally this is level 1 of the spine, level 2, level 3, and the final stage of the spine is the final stage is the buffers which drives the mesh of the SOC. Since mesh is having more cap, these buffers are specially designed. We will see more on mesh buffers in coming slides. So mesh is used because the arrival time is same to maintain arrival time same at all the across the chip. Generally skew maintain. To maintain skew, we used mesh based designs. So these spines are implemented by using buffers. These buffers are specially custom designed buffers which are pre-characterized and used as any standard cells, like any standard cells. These buffers are arranged to form clusters and to form clusters. The area between the clusters we are giving for the S4C to place and route. Only the cluster places where the clock cells will be sitting. The connection between two clusters will be done in top metals. So generally called RDL metals of the chip. With this clocking distribution knowledge, let's see what's the constraints we face in the chip designing clock distribution. So multiple S4Cs. Multiple S4s, clock spines are morely depend on the floor plan of the S4C. Generally, floor plan means how the tiles are arranged. Suppose these are, if I think one tile as a macro, I mean one tile as a macro in the S4C. That tile may be anything analog or digital, any memories, whatever is that. So clocks, clocks needs multiple S4. These are highly depending on the floor plan. If you see this floor plan of this is irregular shape. So the clock distribution mainly depends on the floor plan of the S4C. Distribution layers are on, power distribution layers, distributing the clock is same as RDL layer. Means powers also, power bumps which placed on the S4C will be same as this clock distribution. So even this makes the routing of the clock will very difficulty. Suppose here bump is sitting and I can't route with the same layer. So it will make everything, the circuit will not work properly. Apart from this, clock needs floor plan changes. We can use the same buffer. If in the same technology, we can use the same buffers, but the distribution is unique to a specific floor plan. Means the distribution itself is unique. We can't use the same distribution for other IP because the floor plan itself, the tile position will be changes. Then we can't use the same spine to be placed on the same one. In multiple S4Cs, we have seen multiple S4C challenges. Let's see about inside same clock, inside is same clock, inside same S4C, there are multiple clocks needs to be distributed from source to its relay. The figure shows the green tiles requires the clock 1 and the brown tile shows the clock 2. So there are multiple challenges to meet the clock to tile mapping while doing the clock distribution. In real cases, if this tile is same, if I place this tile is same and this tile is same cluster position has to be followed at every location. So inside same S4C we have, for multiple S4Cs we have seen the challenges, and in the same spine also we have seen the challenges how to distributing the clocks. let's say inside same SOC and same floor plan also we will face the challenges like different shapes we will require. Here the tree size is based on the area coverage, here the tree requirement is different, and here the tree requirement is different. So the same tree can't be used, I mean same clusters can't be used everywhere. For each route, I mean each length, we have to use different types of clusters. So these all clusters are flat instantiated at SOC level. Means flat means these are exactly sit down on the tiles, which makes difficulty to route. I mean, which makes us difficulty to check whether any hard IPs are there which are overlapping on top of that. So we have to take care that while doing the clock distribution. Here is the tree which shows delay match tree, which are subjected to be placed several times, and we will get a plan of tree to be placed which is the biggest tree. The same tree has to be followed across the chip, like here. Here same structure, but we have chopped here because here we don't require the power, so we have tuned the same tree by replacing with the cap. The delay has maintained constant. If you see, the delay of this to this will be same. So for a smaller portion area, we have design a smaller tree, but it will give same delay by considering the serpentine from the clock source to the end of the source. So the hard IPs, if it will overlap with the hard IPs, then the SOC will come to move the positions from one place to other place. This will cause difficulty at the end of the checkpoints to give to the SOC. Means we have already designed a trees by matching all the things, and we need to move, means we have to rework on that. So these all constraints make us to resource investment. Means if multiple SOCs are executing parallelly, more number of resources is required, because one tree, if one person is handling one tree, and the same trees can't be used for the other SOCs, because it is basically depends on the floor plans of the SOC. Irregular shapes, I mean, if shapes are irregular, the tree requirements will be more. So obviously more number of resources are required to do our work. So by taking all these are all constraints which we face to distribute the clock from source to so before I will go more detail on what solution we provided to the clocks, I would like to highlight few points which all constraints makes us to make this automation. So suppose when people are working on same projects and they don't want to, I mean same technology, but buffers are used, they want to do 3-4 trees, it is difficult, they can't do more work. We need to design 1-3-4 trees, means they won't agree. So this makes us challenge resource, not only resource, there will be hectic schedules, makes the overlapping of cells and a lot of other things. So to overcome all these challenges, a clock automation is used which is designed by ourselves to overcome all the above challenges which we faced above, which we discussed earlier. Let's see how we came up with the plan. Clock spines. Generally, we will get all the constraints from the SOC, the placements of the tile, hard IPs, where reuse blocks are there, floor plan, and the power plan of the SOC. Once we will get all these constraints, we will come up with a plan how to distribute the clock from its source to various tiles. They will give the tiles, which all the tiles required clocks, and how many clocks are there. Once that plan is ready, we will start our capper flow. It is a 5-step process. That is tree templates. First we will design tree templates, which we have seen from different length coverage. We have different trees in single spine SOC. That we will design first in tree template. Then schematic sampler, we will see more detailing of these ones in the coming slides. So in the schematic sampler takes the output of the tree template and generates the required trees to be required for a specific SOC floor plan. Once a schematic sample is ready with their floor plan and ready to place on top of place on exact location, then layout generator will takes the output of the schematic sampler and generates the place and routed layout. And in layout itself, it generates only the clock cells which needs to be distributed. And in custom decap plan, fills the empty area where we require the cell decaps needs to be filled. And finally, we will verify the layout generated by the capper. So let's see more detailing on how the capper works. In capper, first we will design a tree, generally called delay match trees, which are using capper, generally called base templates. These base templates are built with the pre-characterized standard cells. So these are used to drive different route lengths and wide dimensions. The designer picks any one of these templates based on the schematic SOC floor plan restrict and generates the required clocking spine. These templates are in these templates there is we will give the distance between the clusters and the placement location of the spine. Schematic sampler takes the output of the template based on the template chosen. Capper samples floor plan, and constraints like hard IPs, reuse cells, bump plans and everything, and gives the proper location where this tree fits. The sampler computes the distance between the buffers and the nets to be driven, reuse cells, everything, and gives the proper plan how to be placed in the layout. The layout is generated by taking the in layout generation. Layout is generated by using capper by using schematic sampler information. Routed layouts, I mean we have to specify in layout generation the track plan and the matching requirement for the cells. custom decap plans, in custom decap plans, once the if you see, this is the cluster generally formed by the clock distribution. So these are the buffer clock distribution cells which are used to drive the clock, and the remaining portions which you will see is filled with the decaps. So the cells where it is sitting, it is blocked by the clock cells, so we can't give any routes on top of these cells for the SOC. Only the portions where the cells are not seated, their portions we can give to the SOC to route on top of the cells. Since we use custom track plan in our cells and standard power plan in decaps, in tiles which are sitting on clusters, it is difficult to route on top of that. So we have blocked entire area here to give to the SOC peoples to route the power on their metals. So there are thousands of hundreds of clusters of these in a single spine, which will make difficult to place manually. So in Capper itself, we included to place the cells wherever it is required, taking the required cells and fill with proper orientation, so that it should not cause any overlapping, mismatching of the cells. If I suppose keep this cell on top, replacing with that, it will give lot of errors to SOC. Not only SOC, inside our delivery, it will make challenging to fill these decaps. So Capper automatically takes the orientation and fills the cells. So this will reduce lot of time which resource has to spend on putting these cells. So Capper do within a minute, or once the cells are placed, it is just a second to fill for that Capper. So this is the layout generated by the Capper. So if you see, this is the clusters which formed on the top of the SOC, and the routing between the clusters are done in RDL metal, and the area between these clusters are given to the SOC. So here we are not routing, and we have not placing anything, but the tile people are placing their hardware here. Means when we overlap this with, we fixed one position, and if we give to, if we move little bit also, it will cause lot of issues. So this layout has to be verified manually before for this type of mistakes, whether Capper has done their job proper or not. Once Capper, generally Capper will do his job best, but to make sure anything will not cause, so we will verify all the things and send. We have worked on multiple projects. I would like to compare same projects. Here, similar projects. Before Capper, 2 to 5 trees are handled by the designer within a given time frame. Suppose 1 week time frame means people will handle 2 to 5 weeks. It's really difficult to meet the schedule before pre-Capper. And after the Capper, the same designer are able to handle 20 trees, and it really makes significant productivity work. So if you see in project 1, almost 10 trees is there, 3 designers has worked, and same comparatively 11 clocks, only 1 designer is handled. So it's a really significant improve in the productivity. Not only productivity, it also improves the matching constraint. It will take the matching constraints, flow plans, everything. So this is what Capper does. Let's see more on how power has improved. So we have seen in the distribution slide, the final stage which drives the mesh is called the mesh buffers. Mesh is formed with top chip metals, generally RDL metals, with both vertical and horizontal. It have lot of cap. To drive the large cap, mesh buffers are required. These are specially designed to drive the mesh. To maintain different loads at the mesh, large number of mesh buffers are required. Large number of means around 100 to 200, depends on the loading on the SOC, it's required. So these buffers should have this footprint compatibility, that is the input of and output of the mesh buffer should be constant and across the sizes, and it will have same gate cap, input gate cap, and same fan out also, and the meeting EMIR also within the limit. Generally this will EMIR will leads to the power improvements of the mesh buffer. Generally in clock mesh will take 30% of clock power, chip power. In clock networking, if you see here, almost 33% is taken by the mesh buffers. The mesh buffers consumes 33% of the power in the clock distribution itself. If we improve anything in clock mesh, it will definitely improve the chip power. So since irrespective of the activity of the chip, clock is always active, right? So irrespective of the activity of the SOC, more power is consumed in the chip. More power is consumed in clock networking. So if anything we reduced in these clock networks will directly impacts the SOC power. So generally we will measure the power of a chip by power efficiency. Power efficiency of mesh buffer is defined as cap load driven by the driver by cap load driven plus cap inside the buffer. So to improve the power efficiency, cap inside the buffer, cap load driven we can't change because it's depend on the SOC, what loading they are giving. Based on the, we have only control inside the buffer. So higher efficiency desired means low power, lesser power is required to drive the given load. Reducing the internal cap inside the mesh buffer will improve the power efficiency. Means the cap inside the buffer, if we reduce it, the power efficiency of the mesh buffer will be increased. So this is one of the general mesh buffers which are designed. So if you see, it has 4 stages, 1, 2, 3 and 4, which are arranged sequentially. If you in the layout, in the hardware, I'd say, stage 1 is here, 2 is sitting side, 3, 4. If you see, the area occupation is whole entire cell is occupied, and the routing length is more in this case. So the third to fourth, the fourth stage has to travel all the metal usage will be more in this case. So if you see, 53% of metal cap is consumed is because of metals only. Compared to gate cap and diffusion cap, the metal cap is more in this case. This makes all the power efficiency of this buffer to 64.1%. So to improve this one, we have changed to mesh buffer. So the stages are splitted to multiple clusters. If you see, the stage 1 is splitted 1 to 2, and 2 is then splitted to 4, and then 16, and so on. Because splitting also helps the same simultaneously switching devices to spread across the area. It is implemented, this implementation in layout will be difficult. We have to follow certain, metal routings and all, which is difficult to do in hardware. So let's see how we implemented this structure in layout. In layout, it is by using common centroid layout method, we distributed the stages across the cell. But here we will get an advantage of that splitting by keeping stage 1 nearer to the common centroid. The routing lengths are reduced. If you see stage 2, stage 1 taking as a stage 1 as a center, stage 2 we have placed center, and stage 2 to 3, I am considering only one cluster. So 2 to 3, and then 3 to 4, 4 is taking, 3 is taking center and 4 is divided. This is forming the clusters, which helps in reducing the route lengths to do connections between the stages. So the lower the metal, the lower, the cap you require is less. So the power, which leads directly to the power efficiency improvement. So we have seen that metal reduction will help in the power efficiency from 64.1% to 81.3%. Almost 20% of power improvement we have seen by implementing this layout structure. So overall, to summarize, I will give three key, I want to give 3 important points here. One is using capper, means auto place and route, helps in productivity. Not only productivity, it helps in resource requirement. Resource requirement is not the one which may skew by matching, by taking the consideration of matching. It helps skew to be balanced across all the endpoints without any resource requirement. Means directly if we give, means it's take the placement, orientation, matching, route lengths required, and connections. So this overall improves productivity, skew, power. Apart from that, in the mesh purpose, we improved the power efficiency. So that also leads to the power improvement in the S4C. And the area, in between the clusters, we are not using the area, and we are giving back to the S4C. By that, we are improving the area of the I would like to my co-author Animesh to take any questions.
So I have one question. Now with multi-power domains, so is there any need for change in terms of how do we do this clock distribution, given that if we be a multi-domain multi-power domain scenario, would the cloud distribution automation that we are able to, would that change?
So initially, like, we need to isolate the physical components which will be working on different voltages. Then the different clocks residing in a different power domain. So
From your automation perspective of
it's
creating
scalable.
the
So
template and
so yeah. So
structure, is this something that you
yeah. So I think it's scalable.
Yeah, you are telling multiple in multiple power domains.
now divided into multi-power domains, and then you are
Yes.
through your automation you are creating these
Yes.
presence points.
Yes.
So is that a constraint that you will need to additionally look into when dealing with multi-power domains?
No, it won't deals with the multiple power domain. It's basically on the locations of the tiles, placing. So the whatever the power domain, we are not using that power domain. We have a clock which will be having only one power. So it won't depends on the power domains. This distribution is
Also
mainly
the boundaries where you're moving from one power domain to another, you need to take care. Other than that, it looks almost.
no. She is telling when two power domains are there. Means suppose one tile is having one power domain, other tile is having other tile power. So when we are placing these cells, is that power anything which we need to consider? So yes, yes, that power actually the clock distribution power is entirely one power. It is not connected with the tile powers. So if you see my
Not connected to type power, I understand.
yeah.
Because of the, I'm more worried because of the automation that you are trying to
E-
for doing.
Yeah, only if you see this is the one clusters which form, which gives the power continuity in this cell, not across. I mean, if I go to next slide, so if you see here, there is individual sitting. If this, I feel this is as a tile in chip, and this is having one power domain, and this is having one power domain. So the power domains will not be matter. This power is connecting from the top RDL metal. It is not getting from, yes. So the connectivity will be all in the top metals. The tile powers will be in the lower metals. So like that, the power will not cause anything here.
But you need to gate the clock because you are trying to gate the clock when you are actually.
That is after pre-mesh portion. I mean, this is all about before the mesh, the global clock distribution. That what you are talking is about local distribution. This is all about yes, whole the chip. It's not about one tile macro.
Your control on the lower clock domains is not through this. You are dealing only with
Yes, yes. If I tell more clearly about here, right? Here there are these clock. I mean the frequent. I mean the clocks are different. If you see the blue is different and this is different. This clock distribution is different and this is different. We are making different spines for different clocks, but power will be same for all the buffers.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.